Well, good morning. We'll call to order our regular meeting of Coachella Valley Water District Board of Directors, March 25th, 2025 here in Coachella. And I just want to say welcome. Appreciate you all being here. Variety of different groups here, but mostly the union, so welcome. We do have Peter Nelson participating remotely, so prior to roll call, I'd like to make clear for the record of this meeting that and it should be reflected in the minutes that at least a portion of this board meeting is conducted pursuant to California Government Code Section 54953, in that Director Nelson is in Shafter, California, and will be participating by speakerphone. In accordance with the Ralph M. Brown Act, the teleconference location has been identified on the agenda for this meeting. Clerk Bermudez, will you please call the roll?
Yes, good morning, President Powell,
Here.
Vice President Estrada,
Here.
Director Bianco,
Here.
Director Aguilar,
Here.
and Director Nelson.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Director Nelson, can you hear me well?
I can, John.
Were you able to hear our proceedings on this end up until now?
Yes, I've been able to hear just fine.
Do you have a copy of the agenda for the meeting?
I do, and I have one posted outside as well.
Okay, is your location reasonably accessible to the public such that any member of the public could participate in this teleconference from your location if he or she wished to do so?
Yes, it is, and no one's shown up today, so I'm just by myself here.
Is he on a tugboat?
Yeah, are you on a boat?
I am in the, my background is the Long Beach port.
Yes, it is. Okay, great. And just as a reminder, all votes for this meeting must be taken by roll call while Director Nelson is participating remotely. And at this time, would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Do we have any additions, deletions, or adjustments to today's agenda?
No, sir. None that I'm aware of.
None that I'm aware of either. Is there anyone from the public wishing to comment at this time?
Mr. President, yes, we have one member who has submitted an interest card, Mr. Carlos Gonzalez. If you can please come up to the podium. You'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Good morning, Mr. Gonzalez.
Right there.
There you go.
All right. Good morning. How are you guys doing? Good seeing. I know we kind of gave you some excite this morning, more than a shot of coffee, huh? But my name's Carlos Gonzalez. I represent Coachella Valley Water District employees. As you guys know, we've been going through this representation for about 10 months. But I just want to say that we're here to build bridges, to build relationships. I met with your leadership team a couple weeks ago. Great meeting. And I think that we're going to be able to build a great working relationship. And aside from that, we want to build a great working relationship with you, the board, because we do represent a lot of members in the low desert, and we have a lot of retirees in the low desert. And part of what Teamsters Local 1932 is about community and making sure that the community knows the value of the workers and the board, because that's important to us. As we live in times where people are trying to put this attack on public employees and talk about privatization and all that other stuff that doesn't benefit the general public, it's our responsibility as Teamsters and members of the community to educate them. And we want to do that, and we want to work with you in doing that, in educating the public and educating our members on what our members do, because they do serve a value to the community. As our principal officer always says, people turn on the water and they don't know where it comes from, right? Yeah. And I think we're all in that boat, and being through here and Josh and the guys walking me around, I'm like, man, I didn't know that. And I think that it's important to educate the public that these are extremely good jobs. These are good jobs that you could take care of a family on, that you can raise a family here in the low desert. And I think that it's important to talk about the partnership between Local 1932 and the district and the board to make sure that the community knows that at the end of the day, we're all in one. We're on the same team, trying to achieve the same goal. Are we going to have different interests at times? Absolutely. Are we going to have differences at times? Absolutely. But any grievance can be worked out. It's all about conversations, right? When people stop communicating, that's when things don't get worked out. And we want to keep those open lines of communications with you. Obviously, Teamsters Local 1932 has been organizing a lot within the low desert, especially within the water industry. Our principal officer, Randy Corrigan, who's over here in the back, I just tell you guys, just Google him. You know what I mean? So this is a local that's about building relationships and a foundation for our members in the community. And that's what we want to do. This isn't an us versus them. This isn't any type of division. I'm going to reach out to each individually. Maybe one day we'll have a cup of coffee and just talk. We don't have to talk about business, just have a cup of coffee and just try to build that relationship. And I just want to say thank you for the hospitality you've shown me. Thank you for the hospitality you've shown the members in this transition. And we're looking forward to being a partner within the district. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. I think we do have quite a bit in common as you led your discussion saying how valuable the employees of CVWD are. We completely agree with that. And maybe underappreciated because of the idea that folks don't know what everyone does. Yeah, it's if you're too good, you know, everything works, and it's like, all right. Yeah, thank you. Do we have any other public comment?
Mr. President, I will note that I just received an email at 7:59 asking to be submitted as public comment for the record, so I will just note that Tabitha Davies submitted a public comment regarding her account, and I will distribute copies of that to the board and make that available.
Thank you. All right, hearing none, we do have one special recognition, which is an anniversary. Micaela Ceballos. There you are. Accounting technician celebrating 25 years. Micaela started her career with CVWD in customer billing as a customer billing assistant and has been in the department ever since. In her current role of accounting technician, Mickey bills construction meters and is the primary person responsible for the setup and maintenance of domestic master accounts. Mickey is a pleasure to work with and is always willing to help a fellow team member. She is liked and well respected by the entire staff, and Mickey's husband, Omar, is also a CVWD employee as an engineering aide too. So congratulations, and we'll ask you to come up and get a photo and maybe say a few words.
Put this in the middle, so it makes it hard to get around.
This is for you.
Omar didn't make it, huh? He's already retired? What?
I think he's already in retired mode.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. My smells. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, over to
Thank
you. Comments?
Comments? No. Let's go for the next 25 more years. Thank you.
Yeah, in the Navy, we used to call those guys Rhodes Scholars, retired on active duty, ROAD.
Scholars. All right. This brings us to the consent calendar, items 6A through E.
And Mr. President, I'll just note again for the record that we did receive public comment for item 6A, and I'll just note also for 9A that will be included as part of the record and was distributed to the board. You should have
Yes.
copies of that.
Yes, we did. Thank you very much.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion, a second to approve the consent calendar. We actually have to do a roll call vote.
We do.
Roll call vote, please.
Yes. President Powell,
Aye.
Vice President Estrada,
Yes.
Director Bianco.
Aye.
Director Aguilar,
Aye.
and Director Nelson.
Aye.
Thank you. 5-0.
That's 5-0. Fair enough. Then 8A, adopt ordinance 1437.5 to revise the canal irrigation and drainage rules and regs. Scott, good morning.
Good morning. This is a public
Mike.
hearing, right?
Public meeting.
Public meeting? Okay. So the purpose of this board item is to update the canal regulations, the canal irrigation and drainage system rules and regulations to define a scheduled order time. It's changing the definitions of scheduled and unscheduled ordering times for canal water. The definition for scheduled will be water orders shut off or changes placed prior to 4 p.m. Currently, it's 11. The day before a requested delivery. The unscheduled canal water orders will be defined as canal water orders, shut-offs, or changes placed after 4 p.m. Frost orders would be placed up until 5 p.m. the day before. So it's pretty narrow changes to the regulations. These changes are possible because of the Mid-Canal Storage Project, which created a little bit of operational flexibility on the canal. And we think that this will be a benefit for customers in that they can have eyes on the field later in the day. So that's my presentation.
So that was gonna be my question, Scott, was what was really the driver on the changes? I know that we looked at this schedule probably about 5 years ago.
A few years ago.
And I think that played into the canal rates a bit. And then, but you mentioned the storage project, so
Right.
so thank you for that. And really, the change is only just a few hours gap. Is that
Correct.
right?
Correct.
So maybe 3-4 hours gap that you're adding.
Yeah, we're
Additional
we're
time.
adding 6 hours.
Okay.
5 hours.
5 hours,
Yeah,
yeah.
5 hours.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wasn't mentioned in the write-up was that it used to be later, and then when they did the lining project, those panels were cracking because of the level of water in the canal. And so the Mid-Canal project provided the flexibility to go back to a later time. So it was later, the cutoff.
It was 5 p.m. I think
Yeah, I
at
don't
one point.
remember exactly what
Yeah.
it was. It was 3 or 4 or 5, something
Okay.
like that. And so then we had to go earlier, and now they fixed it, so now we're going
Yeah,
back to
makes
what
sense.
it was, yeah. Is there, we're just looking for a motion, right? There's no actual, okay. Is there a motion to approve 8A?
John, I'll move to approve the adoption of ordinance 1437.5.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? A roll call vote, please.
President Powell,
Aye.
Vice President Estrada,
Yes.
Director Bianco,
Aye.
Director Aguilar,
Aye.
and Director Nelson.
Aye?
5-0.
Pass
Great.
5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate that. 9A, this is the third amendment to the amended and restated employment agreement with our general manager. And Jeff, do you want to present this?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
No. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Under the Brown Act, it's required that the basic parts of any particular compensation agreement with the executive officer, in this case, the general manager, be read into the record. And so looking at the staff report for this item, if the board elects to take such action today, then on this proposed third amendment to the employment agreement, then the following oral report is to be made. Number one, the final action on this would adjust the current base salary by a cost of living adjustment of 2%, which would result in a new base salary of $385,547 effective with the first pay period of January 2025. 2, the general manager would be eligible for a bonus of between 0 and 10% of base salary based on factors and criteria to be determined by the board of directors prior to the next annual performance evaluation. The only purposes of this amendment are to provide for the COLA and to allow for a bonus to be included at the end of the next annual performance review. So based on that, the recommendation is to approve this third amendment to the amended and restated employment agreement of your general manager, James Barrett.
Thank you. Okay. Is there a motion to approve this 9A?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. Nelson?
Okay, yeah, and I would say, oh, yeah, that's good. I would say that I do appreciate our general manager and working with you.
Thank you, sir.
And I think this is an appropriate, and we actually had a letter in favor of this.
We did.
Surprised me.
A comment letter.
Use your buddy?
No, but Mr. Anderson does attend the CVEC meetings.
Oh.
He with Ed Luna are kind of the guys, recurring attendees.
Yeah.
And he's been to a couple of our meetings here, although I haven't seen him in a while.
We do appreciate the comments.
I think it's very appropriate. I mean, Jim really does a great job of leading this organization, and, you know, you can see it in the amount of complaints that we have, which are very minimal. I mean, leading the employees in our endeavors here in the Coachella Valley, which we have sometimes close to 1 million people here, you know, for 6 months out of the year, and is doing a good job. So I think that's what the market warrants, and I think it's very appropriate.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, and it's a very complicated agency. A lot of departments, a lot of moving parts, a lot of employees, and I think you do a fantastic job.
Thank you, sir.
Very well deserved.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is that right?
That's correct.
Roll call vote, please.
Yes. President Powell.
Aye.
Vice President Estrada.
Yes.
Director Bianco.
Aye.
Director Aguilar.
Aye.
And Director Nelson.
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
Thank you. And then on to 9A, the second 9A. Should we renumber these?
Typically they do. Sometimes it doesn't.
Okay, we'll call it 9A2.
It'll be 9B.
Okay, well, whatever.
I know, the minutes.
It's on the agenda, that's all we care about, it's on the
Yeah,
agenda.
no, I know.
It was duly noted.
Yeah, we'll make sure we know that. Armando, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, for a minute there, I was really happy Carrie was going to do this presentation. So like, yes, go ahead, yeah, Carrie. Good morning, President Powell, members of the board, audience, fellow staff. Just my name for the record is Armando Rodriguez with the engineering department. The purpose of this board action item is to request authorization for the general manager to execute a professional engineering agreement with Krager and Stewart in the amount of $1,120,000 so that we can complete the engineering design of the Ward 4 non-potable water improvements project. In addition, we're asking for some soft cost for project management, $120,000, a contingency on $140,000 for a total authorization of $1,380,000. In essence, what are we doing? Well, we're changing consultants from Black and Beach to Krager Stewart. We're asking the board to allow us to complete the design from 60 to 100. And we think that this is a good cost value, but it also saves us schedule, about close to 4 or 5 months if we work expeditiously. So with that, I'll pause with my presentation, see if there's any questions, or I can continue.
Rondo, I have a question, please. So I'm looking at the scoring consolidation. Do you consider their workload in selecting these consultants, particularly now that we're changing, and their ability to get these projects done? And I know we have a pretty aggressive capital program to get the job done within the time frame that we set.
Yes, just give me a second. To answer your question directly, yes, we do look at not only the schedule and how much workload they have, but also the performance that they currently are doing on existing projects. And to me, that's a telling sign that when the consultant is executing and being upfront and being thorough and minimal errors, and then let's load that good consultant with good work because he's delivering. And we do see that with this consultant. We do have other consultants that I probably wouldn't say that, and I'll probably say let's look elsewhere. But in regards to the level of work that they have, that is something that we do consider when we view this consultant or any other, we don't want, we want the consultant to succeed because we want the project to succeed, and we have to be able to know and depend that they're going to be responsive.
Okay, good. I mean, I do note that their score was considerably higher than the other two competitors, so
Yeah.
that should say something.
Yeah, one was, there's proficiency there, but there's also the good cost value with the presentation. So,
Thank you.
Mondo, we also have a list of qualified consultants, or is this open to everybody?
I can cover that as part of my presentation if I can continue, if there's no additional questions. But yes, what we did was we went out to.
I think we're ready to vote on it. But
Oh, yeah, so to answer your question, we went out, prepared an RFP. We went out to the market, and then they provided us with, these are the proposals we received.
And I only ask because I was just trying to get some clarity on, I know that we have a.
On-call.
We have on-call.
Right.
Is that what we used, or is that? that's
No,
not what
we
used
did
for
not.
this?
We went out to the at least for the sanitation division, and I'm sure that's pretty consistent with engineering. When we go to on-call, it's because it's a pretty finite project. It's not going to be of high dollar value like it is here. I mean, this is 1.1 million. I definitely want to go and test the market to see that we do hire the best for the scope of work, and not necessarily limited to just the on-calls. But, some of the on-calls that we do have are the same ones that are also responding. So they do get an opportunity to reply to the RFP.
That's what I wanted to get some clarity on, because I saw like Krieger and Stewart, they're, they're pretty big, and I think they're on call too,
Right.
so.
And so is
just
Wood and
wanted to
Curtin
get
as well.
Some clarity on that, but
Right.
the way you did it makes sense to me.
Black and Vetch needs to be kind of put on the bench a little bit. I mean, it seems to me that, we've gone through this before with some of these contractors who either underbid or, and then come back to us and want more money. It's just not right. It's not right. I mean, I think we pay fair and do the process right, and it's just not right. These guys need to know that there's consequences to these things. To make us go through all this again and fix their problem is not it shouldn't be our problem, in my opinion.
Thank you very
I
much.
mean, you guys have to get tough with these guys. You guys have to do it. So I don't know how else to do it.
Okay. Thank you for your comment.
So part and parcel of that is the recommendation for the general manager to execute the new agreement, but then also as stated in the staff report, to approve and authorize general manager to terminate the existing agreement with Black and Veatch. So that's part and parcel of the authorization today. Just want to make that clear for the record. That's part of the staff report.
Yeah.
And by the nature of approving this new agreement, you're authorizing the GM to terminate the current one.
Right. I think that's sort of consistent with what you were suggesting.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the other alternative would be to force them to do the
Correct.
work, but I think we're going to be better off with.
Well, because it's going to
this
cost us
alternative.
15 months and all this
Yeah.
time, but it's just not right. I mean, Black and Vetch has been working with us since I've been on this board and probably longer. And so it's just not right. I mean, sometimes they have to eat it a little bit. Not everything is pie in the sky where you make a lot of money.
Well, thank you very much for your comments. I definitely appreciate them because I do feel that. I do feel that. And I would think that they would try to work with us as well. So thank you for your comments.
Yeah, I was a little surprised. Is there a motion? We're waiting for a motion. Is there a motion to
Make a
approve
motion to approve.
this item? I'll second that. Are we calling this 9B now?
This is
So we'll
9B for the
we're gonna
record.
renumber
Yeah, we're just
everything.
going to renumber things as we go through.
All right, let's
Noting that down.
number it, and then we'll do the vote. Letter it. All right, so we have a motion, a second. Roll call vote, please.
President Powell,
Aye.
Vice President Estrada,
Yes.
Director Bianco.
Aye.
Director Aguilar.
Aye.
Director Nelson.
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Armando. Okay, now 9C, which is the acquisition of real property with Spanish Mesa, et cetera. Carrie, good morning.
Good morning. So this item is related to our Valley View domestic water consolidation project. So today, we're asking to authorize the general manager to execute the acquisition of real property agreement with Spanish Mesa Holdings. And you may recognize the name of Bruce Rucker. That's his property. So we successfully negotiated the pipeline easement through his property. And so that is one of our requested actions today, is to approve that agreement. And then along with that, we're also asking for approval for the various consolidation agreements for all of the small water systems, mobile home parks, that we're going to consolidate. So Desert View Trailer Park, Magdaleno Lopez Labor Camp, Campos Mobile Home Park, Mesas Ranch, Valley View Trailer Park, Soda Water, Vista Norte Estates, Luciano Valenzuela, and Via de Jesus Mobile Home Park. And the total authorization, or the total request in terms of dollars, is $23,600. And this is a grant-funded project, so there's no impact to our budget by approving these items. And I can stop there if there's any questions.
It's a huge project, complicated. You've been working on it for a long time. I think all these projects are making your relationship with the State Water Board, I think, more just stronger as the years go by. And I just really appreciate all the effort that staff has put into these types of projects, not just here, but in other areas in the eastern Coachella Valley, and maybe soon in some other parts of the valley as well. But kudos to all of you. Good job. Happy to see that. I think this is about to break ground pretty soon, so thank you.
All right. You're welcome.
Yeah, groundbreaking.
These are big projects. These are, you know.
It's a lot of time.
And, you know, I don't know how much this one is, about close to 20 million, maybe 17 or something like that.
Yeah,
But
about 17.
But you look at the chart that we were looking at during the budget process, or the CIP. You know, a big chunk of that is grants, and they are tough, but you know, they are putting a lot of infrastructure in the valley. So, thank you.
Eventually, yeah. Good. Is there a motion to approve 9C?
I'll make a motion to approve 9C.
Second.
Any other discussion? A roll call vote, please.
President Powell,
Aye.
Vice President Estrada,
Yes.
Director Bianco,
Aye.
Director Aguilar,
Aye.
and Director Nelson.
Yes.
Thank you. 5-0.
Passed 5-0. And then for the next item, which we're calling 9D, I will be recusing and leaving the room, as I have an interest in an entity that has a nearby lease.
David,
some properties.
we'll wait for
So let me
President
get-
Powell to exit the
Let me
room.
get out of here.
So just for the record, this is not to approve, it is to authorize going out to bid on a rehab of an actual facility in close proximity to President Powell's property in order to avoid even the appearance of a conflict. that he
It's
is-
a lease that he does.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not his property.
Yes, a lease. To avoid even the appearance of a conflict, he has recused himself.
All right, we're ready.
All right, good morning. So as Mr. Ferrer just mentioned, the purpose of this item is to approve solicitation of bids for the irrigation lateral 12345-1.3-2.2 division box replacement structure. The division box, as its name implies, divides flows on this major pipeline that sends approximately 68,000 gallons per minute of Colorado River water to over 6,000 acres of land and approximately 14 users. The structure was built in the early 1950s. It's about 30 feet tall, believe it or not, about 10 feet below ground, 20 feet above ground. It has a continuous leak along the base right now, and the concrete is spalling. So it's a major part of the infrastructure for this distribution system here. And the proposed cost is about $2.9 million. It is funded through the bipartisan infrastructure law loan that we received. It's one of the 10 projects that we received. And so we expect to spend about $500,000 this fiscal year, and the balance would be spent the following fiscal year. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Just a quick comment, question is about how much of the projects have we hit 50%?
We have one that's out right now, and then this one There's actually, this one will be tied to another one that we've already received approval to put out to bid. So altogether, that'll be 3 plus mid-canal, which is also one of them, which made it 11 of the bill funding.
Does that, do we have a deadline for that?
There's no deadline.
So is your plan that you're gonna do this over the next?
Yes, the
10
intention
years?
is to get it done in the next 4 years.
4 years, all of them?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, second. Roll call, please.
President Powell is recused, Vice President Estrada,
Yes.
Director Bianco.
Aye.
Director Aguilar.
Aye.
And Director Nelson.
Aye.
Thank you, 4-0.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. 10A, we did have written communications, as Clerk Bermudez has indicated already.
Yes, and we received another one about 15 minutes after the start of the meeting, so I will also add that to the record
okay.
and distribute copies to the board as well. Note that.
Thank you. Do those two late ones get posted online at some point?
They will when when we redo the packet, yes.
Okay, thank you. And then we have an informational report. Hi, Carla, regarding the OPEB. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
In the packet, also within the general manager's report, is the updated market value for the OPEB trust, which is about a little over $38 million. So this report is as of December 31st, 2024. If you recall, we're still working to transfer the trust over to PARS, but PFM is on the line, and they'll be providing a brief market overview and just how the current trust is performing.
Thank you.
We have Robert and Perry on the line.
And feel free to keep it brief.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, Robert, Perry, I'm not sure who's starting, but if you let us know, we'll make sure to put you on the screen if you have a video output, or we can just leave the PowerPoint on the screen. But you'll need to unmute yourself.
All right. Good morning, everyone. This is Perry Giovanelli. So yeah, if you want to put the report up on the screen, I can just walk you through a couple pages. Is that, or do I have control of it?
No, we have control of it, so it's on the screen. So I'm going to ask staff, can you do a picture-in-picture so he can see that on Zoom, please? You're moving it? Is that what you want? Okay. Hold on. Let me just.
So Perry, I'm on slide 1.8.
Yeah, this is a good spot to go. Knowing that we want to, be brief, I'll just cover a few things for you here from the standpoint of how the year finished off, and obviously the past few months, to try to bring you up to date a little bit here, this quarter. With that being said, so as the year finished off, as far as the economic numbers, the numbers were in good shape. Unemployment was at 4.2%. GDP for the fourth quarter looks like it's going to come in around 2%. So for the year, it will average just over 2% for 2024 when we get the final numbers in. So overall, from an economic standpoint, things are in good shape. GDP was showing some growth. Anytime we're at 2% or above, it's a pretty good growing year. I mean, obviously, we'd love to get 5 and 6% every year, but that doesn't happen. But I would say with an economy our size, if we're coming in around 2%, that's good numbers. From a standpoint of where we are looking at, monetary policy, we pulled back from being positive on to being a little more neutral. And economic growth right now, at the end of the year, we were positive. Right now, if we looked at it today, we're back to neutral. And inflation, we're in a neutral area. And this is all built in to bring you up to date. All the noise you've heard over the last 2 months about tariffs and whether they're getting, the way they're being increased is, what you've seen as far as volatility in the market this quarter. And it's an area that, Wall Street in general, all investment people in general are, watching very closely, and quite frankly, the uncertainty of it is what makes it so difficult to navigate. And the way I like to put it is what Wall Street doesn't like is uncertainty. So that's where we're at today. So that's why you've seen so much volatility in the markets over the last 2 months. And with that, it just gives us where we're pausing and really trying to dig in on some of these areas. The big picture is the concerns could be that if all of these tariffs go into place and they're all across the board, it is definitely going to drive inflation. Over the last year and a half, the Fed has done a really incredible job of walking the tightrope of handling the rates in a way that, when they increased them to slow down inflation, they didn't wait. Typically, by the time the Fed reacts, we're well into a recession. The Fed started to reduce the rates, in the fourth quarter of last year, and it has the economy sitting in a good spot. It's the tariffs that are mainly about to shake everything up, is the way I would put it. It could create a situation where we have inflation going back up quickly. If the Fed starts to adjust the rates to try to counteract that, we could end up in a situation where we have high inflation, high interest rates, and possibly, and most likely what would follow that is high unemployment. And, right now we're kind of on the opposite end of all of those, but, that's what the tariffs could do, definitely over the short term, over the next 12 to 18 months. So those are where our concerns lie. That's where most of the market's concerns lie. With that, you can flip about 3 more pages in. Just keep dropping down. Right into performance here. As you can see, for the quarter, the fourth quarter had some negative numbers, mainly built around the tariffs once again. Once it was clear that the new administration had won the election, with all the campaigning about raising tariffs, we knew that international markets would hit first. And that's what happened this time around. The international markets were negative for the quarter, and that affected the portfolio. What we did right at the election, once it became aware, we did lower your exposure to international, and that helped us protect the portfolio. As you can see, although it was a negative number, we did protect compared to the benchmark, coming in at negative 1.54 versus the benchmark at negative 1.81. Overall, for your fiscal year, we're sitting at 4.31% return versus the benchmark at 4.27. And for the calendar year, the 1 year number, so basically January 1 to December 31st, 10.92 versus the benchmark at 10.63. And then as we go out further, your 5 year number and your inception numbers are sitting in very good shape. Your 5 year number is at 6.87 versus the benchmark at 6.3. And since inception, dating back to August of 2016, 7.56 versus the benchmark at 7.2. Overall, that's, like I said, performance is sitting in a good spot. We were able to protect a bit in the fourth quarter with the way international markets were affected. And if you drop down a couple more pages, I'll point out 2 more things, and I'll shut up. Right, one more up here. So what did the solid return for the calendar year mean to you? If you look at the bottom box, in hard dollars, that return on investment was $3.7 million, bringing you up at the end of December to $37,137,000. And then just drop down one more page.
Just on this one too, Perry noted on the net outflows or net flows that are negative,
Yes.
that includes the drawdown that we had of $856,000. So those are not all fees.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely not all fees. So with that, one more page.
I'm on 2.5. Did you want me to?
Yeah, can you drop? Yeah, here we go. Perfect. All right. So this is what I wanted to show you. If you look, the light blue is the target allocation of your investment policy, and the dark blue is how we have you actually allocated. So right at the election, we reduced your international. If you're looking at those second bars down, the ones in the middle, we reduced it about 2.5%. So we took it from about, it was almost on target, and we took it down to about 18.5, and then why it's down to 17.9 is the loss that you had in international for the fourth quarter. But that move helped protect things. Interestingly enough, we've increased it in February, coming back up toward 21, added about 2% into it, because China is actually showing some life, and actually the markets are moving rather well there, and we feel like some of the reaction in the fourth quarter with international kind of bounced back a bit, so we try to take advantage of that. So for right now, we're pretty close to target on all three areas through this quarter, and it's unfortunately with the uncertainty, we're going to stay pretty close to targets, waiting to see how some of this data and how the numbers start to play out over the next 4 to 5 months. And then with that, as of Monday, March 24th, your balance is $37,730,400. So just kind of want to update you on that. That's all I have for you today. If you have any questions.
Thank you. No questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carl.
On we go to board general comments. Director Nelson?
No comments this morning, John.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Director Aguilar?
No comments, Joe.
Director Bianco?
No comments.
None.
Oh, I didn't really have any either. What time is it? I'm not going to fill it with comments either. Do we have any board requests for future agenda items? Hearing none. Yeah, I noticed the dates were missing on these board meeting reports, and then we got a
Yes. So
supplemental
I
page here.
distributed a copy for your convenience with the dates, so you didn't have to look through your calendar. So it will be corrected in the minutes, but your dates were not listed originally on
Yeah.
the agenda.
It's okay.
Oversight.
Yeah, no worries. I looked them up. So there was one prior meeting that I'll report on, which was the February 28th Coachella Irrigated Lands Coalition meeting. I believe, Director Nelson, were you on that one also? I think you were.
Yeah, I was there, John.
Probably the biggest challenge for this group is meeting these regulatory requirements in a cost efficient way, and it's really been a problem. But we're looking into alternatives for some of the outsourced work that needs to be done. So it's a pretty large per acre charge right now, and we're trying to get that down. And much more than other areas like Palo Verde and Imperial. So there's that. Colorado River Board meeting March 11th. Director Nelson?
Yeah, John, I just add to that prior meeting, the other couple things that we discussed. There is about 40,000 acres in the coalition, which is about 40,000 out of maybe 70 in the valley. So that's one of the issues we're looking at. But we're also looking at how to best come up with nitrogen crop coefficients, because that's such a moving target, and we need desert numbers, not just rote kind of UC numbers. So that's a challenge as well. So on the 11th, we had our Colorado River Board meeting a day early. It was in Long Beach, where Director Gloria Cordero is based out of. So we had it in her backyard. And her husband actually is the executive director of the Long Beach port. And so it was very interesting there to take a tour in the evening of the port. So at the Colorado River Board meeting, I guess there are a couple things. Lake Mead is at lake level 1068, which is 9 million acre feet or 35% full. And Lake Powell is at 7.9 million acre feet at 34% full. And the entire system's 41% full, which is, not looking too bad. although the Lake Powell inflow as of first week of February was only 71% forecasted. Fortunately, February had some additional storms coming in and kind of hitting Utah, and so we're hopeful that that upper basin area is enough to drive runoff. The lower part of the upper basin is fairly dry, and the lower basin is dry, so hoping for the best there. And then on, I wanted to say in regards to that tour, I thought something was pretty interesting. As you know, the California Aqueduct is suffering from subsidence in certain areas, and one of the areas is the western Central Valley and Kern, and there are many water districts that have been blamed for that subsidence, although there's not very many wells out on that west side, but there are more petroleum wells and oil wells. And so I was sort of putting two and two together as we toured Long Beach. There are actually parts of the port there that has suffered significant subsidence. In fact, some of the buildings are actually below water level there, and it was due to the petroleum extractions, the oil production, and when they stopped producing oil there, they actually stopped subsidence as well. So interesting analogy to look at what's happening on the aqueduct on the west side of Kern County. That's what I think the most important takeaway from that CRB meeting that I got. And then on the 12th, we had a so-called retreat. I'd call it kind of an expanded, more of an expanded meeting, and we discussed, there's, some fairly new or newer board members, and so the discussion was board member roles and involvements and interactions with staff and communications. We talked about meeting schedules and kind of content, what we wanted to see out of the Colorado River Board meetings, maybe besides just a water report. So that was all good discussion, and we actually installed our new executive director, Jessica Neuwirth, who was selected through an interesting process where the chair nominates two individuals. But prior to that, we had done a round of interviews with a number of very qualified candidates. And so Jessica was chosen, and we voted on her. And so she's our new executive director, replacing retired Chris Harris. So that was pretty much a report on those two meetings.
Thank you. Yeah, congratulations to Jessica.
Yeah, for sure.
So there was a March 18th board study session on the CIP, which I'm sure attendance is noted in the official documents. March 19th, disadvantaged community infrastructure. I believe I missed that, so please take me off of that. But go ahead, Vice President Estrada.
It's our bi-monthly meeting, and we met and talked about all the projects that we're tracking, big projects, and everything seems to be going well. We are getting ready to do an update to what's been our, pretty much, I think, our roadmap.
Sure you were there for that.
Back in
I think you had to leave early.
back in 2018, we put together what we called the Eastern Coachella Valley Water Supply Plan, where we identified more than 80 plus small water systems, and that's kind of been how we've created projects to start consolidating those systems. And it's been 7 years now, and we have a grant that we're going to use to update that plan and hopefully try to reprioritize some of the projects and continue to consolidate those systems. I think one of the the messages that we've shared with our congressional representatives, our state representatives, has been that we'll move at whatever speed we can gather the funding. So if we can get more funding, then we'll do more projects. And so that, I think with that plan being updated, it's gonna help out. That was mainly it. That's what I got. It was a fast meeting.
Yeah, thank you. March 20th, Salton Sea Authority Board.
I was on Zoom. You were in person, so I think you should give the update.
Yeah. Thanks, Director. Yeah, it was a pretty productive meeting. Just some decisions that were made. We approved an extension, the board did, of the March 26th agreement with DWR for the North Lake project to completion in '26. We also had an interesting presentation by IID on their system conservation program, which was really pretty impressive, and I was suggesting that perhaps we can consider doing the same thing here as well. And then the CV Strategies presented a couple of their work products, including a key messages program and then a new brochure which they have drafted for distribution to folks of interest, and they've asked us to actually look at these and make comment on it. So I'll leave you with Jim.
Thank you. Good. This was, hang on. We had, all right, this one was on there. March 22nd, the 5th Annual Binational Water Summit. Director Aguilar?
Yeah, so this was something that all the members of the Salton Sea Authority Board had been asked by a local nonprofit to attend this meeting in San Diego. So I did attend. It was a 2-day conference. They had, one day was actually in Mexicali, the second day was in San Diego, and it's primarily to talk about water issues, water pollution issues in the Tijuana River, but also there was discussion about the Salton Sea and water importation recommendations. I was there, Supervisor Kelly was there, who was on a panel from Imperial, as was Director Cardenas from the authority.
They have a real problem with that sewage plant on the Mexican side of the border, which flows north into the Imperial Beach area. That I think there's $300 or $400 million. There is a project that they're going to upgrade or repair that plant.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because a lot of the money,
years.
I mean, much like we've experienced with some of our Salton Sea projects, there's money allocated, but it seems to kind of disappear.
I know. I mean, that seems like a really specific need that that money shouldn't go anywhere else. It should be used for that.
And I think Imperial County has been pointing at what they've done in San Diego and Tijuana, that border, as an example of what they'd like to do between the New River and Mexicali. And I think part of the
they haven't done it yet.
They haven't done anything, as quite as big as what they've done in Tijuana and San Diego. But the I think the concern that Imperial County has is they said, you've been able to fund, I think, 2 treatment plants now out there, and they can't get one. So
no, I know, but I don't think they've actually built them yet or built the repairs yet.
I believe they've built.
They've done a little bit. Yeah.
They've built one.
Part of it.
There is one there.
There's one built.
Part of it.
Yeah.
And then they have the funding for a second one.
Right.
But they're trying to use that, I think, as a, hey, just give us what they got over there. And
well, I get that.
We'll be
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah. Sure. Okay. Good.
Hey, John, this is Peter. I've
ahead.
got a question for you. Was there any discussion about the infrastructure that brings in Colorado River water to the greater Tijuana area? I believe, as I recall, there's about 60,000 acre-feet of Colorado River water that is delivered to Tijuana for treatment and use of the area there. Did any of that come up in that binational meeting?
Not specifically, Peter, but there was mention of the Colorado River as a potential future source for remediation.
Okay.
Okay. I see listed on the supplemental page, March 24th, SB 466 hearing testimony prep meeting, Director Estrada.
Yeah, I met with staff yesterday and with the lobbyist in Sacramento in preparation for what might be a hearing for this bill. This bill is related to chromium-6, and there's a big effort by not just this agency, but a group of agencies across the state that are concerned that the chromium-6 compliance steps are going to create the potential for perhaps litigation. And so agencies are going to be forced to put out notices even before they're out of compliance, basically letting folks know that there's chromium-6 in their water that's above the MCL, and I think use that as an opportunity to say, here's how we're going to treat it, and here's what we're going to do. And so I think the argument that's being made is that it's already costly and it's already taking a lot of time to try to implement the state's order, and getting bogged down with litigation and additional expenditures related to that would only contradict what we're trying to achieve. And so that's what the bill's about. We've identified a senator and maybe some other representatives that are going to present the bill up in Sacramento, and this is in preparation for providing some testimony in some of the first hearings that the bill is going to have to be heard on. I believe the Environmental and maybe Toxins Committee, but this might be coming up here shortly, sometime next month. So it's just to prepare for that. And that's it.
Is there a proposal for a bill for the state to pay for it?
No.
Someone should work on that.
Well, I think all of those I think all of those avenues have been, quite frankly, exhausted. And it's been tried. I think the sentiment, Jim, is that this particular contaminant doesn't impact enough of the big agencies in California, so it doesn't muster up enough of the will from the representatives to carry a bill. So this is kind of our last attempt to provide ourselves some protection, and even this might be a little bit difficult. So that's it.
Thank you. Are there any other meetings to report?
Yeah, John, I have a couple here.
Okay.
I'll go through them real quick. On March 14th, Friday, I was a tour speaker for the Water Education Foundation tour that comes through once a year for the lower Colorado River. There's about 45 participants across from the upper basin and the lower basin, USBR officials, and so forth. And I recruited Adrian Zindajes from Ocean Mist and Desert Mist to talk about artichokes. We stopped at an artichoke field. He talked about water use from their perspective. And then I also recruited Noah Woody, seniors in Harrow, to talk about canal operations. And we stopped up at Avenue 60 in Johnson and looked at the 97.1 outfall there, and I talked about overall water issues as well within the lower basin and for Coachella's functions as we operate. So that was on the 14th. On the 21st, I attended a Sites Reservoir Committee and Authority meeting. They're really dialing in timeframes for financial commitments for the benefits and obligation contracts as they're kind of narrowing down on that. Brian Thomas produced, or talked about some financial issues. The cost of the project is going up. I think it's now between 4 and 4.4 billion. But there are some other monies that are coming in, about 200 million from the Los Vaqueros project that got put on the back burner, taken off the queue, as well as some Prop 4 funding for that. And, you know, this year, in terms of the time frame, I think in the middle of summer into fall, there'll be possible shifting of participation rates. USBR wants to go from 9 to 16% of the project, which is about 17,000 acre feet. And other people will be asked to sign on the dotted line. So we should keep abreast of that from Coachella's perspective. And then on the 24th, which was just yesterday, seems like there's a lot of retirements lately, and California Farm Coalition is suspect to that as well. And so we're developing timelines and strategies for the executive director there as well. So that concludes my reports.
All right. Thank you. Any other reports for meetings? Is there a motion to approve per diem for the meetings reported on?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Yeah. Roll call vote, please.
President Bell?
Aye.
Vice President Estrada?
Yes.
Director Bianco?
Aye.
Director Aguilar?
Aye.
Director Nelson?
Aye.
Thank you. Passes 5-0.
Thank you. General Manager.
Yes, sir. Just quickly, I'd like to thank the board for their approval to let me stay for yet one more year. Actually, at the end of this month, I'll have been here for 15 years. I was the interim GM when Steve Robbins was fighting his cancer for about a year, and then been general manager since April of 2013. So clearly, my stay here would have been much shorter had I not had the support of the executive team and the staff, the employees that we have here that, as Director Estrada said, run a very complicated business. It's not me by myself. It's all of us, and I'm privileged to be here to work with these folks, and thank you again for your support. That's it, sir.
Council for
I will pass the day, Mr. President.
Thank you. Are there any departmental reports?
Nobody's jumping up to the mic, so I would say
Seeing
no,
none.
sir.
Seeing none. All right, at this time, the board will recess into closed session to consider the items listed on the agenda, and we will reconvene open session following that to do a report out. Thank you. So the regular open meeting is reconvened, and Jeff Ferre is going to report out of our closed session.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. On item 14A regarding the receipt of claim from Rodriguez Perez, on a motion by Director Bianco, second by Director Aguilar, and a 5-0 vote, the board took action to reject the claim. On the other claim regarding the actual construction contract, with on a motion by Vice President Estrada, second by President Powell, vote of 5-0, the board took action to reject the claim of the contractors and to extend the appropriate notice.
Thank you. And with no further business, we are adjourned.
Thank you.